Welcome to the LANCave where we're living as nerds. I'm Patrick, joined by Owen.
Is that was it an audio feature?
Was there? Did I miss? We have a glitch, an inadvertent glitch, I guess.
Yeah, I heard the intro, and then I heard like our waiting music kind of blend in together.
Total feature. I totally meant to do that.
Yeah.
I had this show up and ready to watch to make sure we weren't having any visual glitches, and we had an audio glitch because that's what happens. We talk about gaming, video game news, all kinds of nerdy stuff while we're here, hanging out every single Wednesday night because you got nothing better to do. Olympics are over, right? So you can hang out
They're
here.
still going.
Are they still going? I thought they had the closing ceremonies.
No. The Olympics are 2 weeks, man.
Oh God, yeah. See, I'm just so out of it.
Yeah.
It's also, I mean, there's Olympic drama. I'll say that
There is Olympic drama. Yeah, Biles is out, but yeah, they go until like the first week of August.
Oh, okay.
So they'll be next week too. So we're about to end the first week. United States currently leading the medal count at 31, but not leading the gold medal count. We only have 11 to China and Japan's 12 and 13.
I saw something interesting about how little we pay the Olympic gold medalists from America in comparison to some other countries, which I thought was pretty interesting. Not to get political here, but immediately I'm like, why aren't we paying them more? They have this insane sponsorship. There's so much money, especially with Biles and other athletes, that there's so much money and so much focus on them. Why aren't they paid more? And what's interesting about that is I don't even know if they're actually paid at all unless they win. Get them. Yeah, if they win, they get paid, but it's like $32,000 or something like that.
Right. So I think, comparatively speaking, because Americans, it's stupid low. It's like $30-something thousand for a gold medal, whereas in other countries you might get paid like $1 million for a gold medal. That's a significant difference. They get stipends. I think it's really it's that line of well, technically they're amateur athletes, but they are professional amateur athletes, I guess. I don't really know how all that works. I don't know if the Olympics are still considered amateur or not.
That's a good question. That's a good question. I mean, I wouldn't think. I think the only reason that they're considered amateurs is because we're not paying them. I mean, they're, arguably, if not really a way to argue this, they're the best in their, in their sport, whatever their sport is. They're the best in their sport. Why aren't we paying them? Especially if there's all the sponsorship, the viewership, the commercials, everything that goes on. I know this has been one of the lowest years, but there's a lot of reasons for that.
What's even to add on to that? So not every sport has professional athletes in it. Like our basketball team most famously has NBA players. But if you look at other sports, a lot of those players are coming out of college, which if they were still in college until this year, they were not allowed to get endorsements because they were still a part of the NCAA, which did not allow players to receive endorsements because of the collegiate amateurism. There's a lot of why do Americans get to benefit, or why does the American industry get to benefit off of these young people? But that's not what you're here for. We could talk about Tencent here in a little while and how money relates to the gaming industry, it is definitely a very interesting conversation to be had.
That was an optional one. I'm gonna talk about it in here though. It was one of my if we have enough stories to talk about. I didn't know if we're gonna have enough stories to talk about. I'm gonna jump right into the news here because we have some good stuff to talk about, some mess stuff to talk about. Starting off with Kenna being delayed. Kenna Bridge of Shadows.
I'm bummed.
Yeah. I'm bummed, especially because I hadn't seen this footage until today, and it makes me want to play the game even more. I don't know if you had seen it before, but sorry, Bridge of Spirits. Well, I meant Bridge of Spirits when I said Bridge of Shadows. But the gameplay, looking at this, looks even better. I mean, I thought it was going to look good and everything, but it's like a beautiful cartoony Horizon Breath of the Wild thing going on, and I love it.
Yeah, it's like Zelda meets what's that other game with the little guys that follow you around?
Oh, Pikmin?
Yeah, Zelda with Pikmin. So there's a Pikmin mechanic to the game, and that's what's definitely intriguing. This game, I think from the trailers, it is probably overselling itself a bit. This is this studio's very first game. They're still a smaller studio. Apparently they have worked on a lot of stuff, and like the reason why the visuals and stuff look so good is they've worked on some movies and animation and things like that. So but they're going big for their first go, and that's what excited me for it. I actually have this game pre-ordered, and that was going to be my August game, so I'm going to beat Skyward Sword here soon. I'm about 20-ish hours into that. I am on the home stretch. Just got my my master sword.
Very nice.
That was going to lead right into this, so now I'm going to have to regroup and figure out what August holds. I think there's some stuff coming to Games Pass, though. I think 12 Minutes is finally coming out next month.
Yes, it is. I'm looking forward to that. You're only getting to delay, a month because it's coming out September 21st. It's not like
so it's going to be a birthday present instead.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, it's when I first saw the message from you that it was delayed. The first thing that I thought, I was worried it was like, oh, we're delaying to like January, but that seemed like too much. Oh.
It sounds like that. It sounds like there's got to be some polish. Maybe they're working on a patch, because if we were this close to out, that just does that mean it hasn't gone gold yet? And so are they trying to? It's going to be. I think, as far as I know, it's a digital only release anyway. So maybe they're delaying it because they want a better version of it to be out. As we know, we don't mind delays on this show. It makes the game better. I think everybody is now used to it now, though. 2021 is definitely the year of the delay, and that's just the way COVID go.
You just expect everything to get delayed. Whatever date it is for a movie or a video game. Dune did get a release date finally, officially, so I'm happy about that because it kept getting bumped and bumped and bumped. So it's October 21st, I think. I'll have to double check. But that got solidified, so I'm happy about that. When is the new James Bond movie, I think, is coming out soon too. I mean, yeah, so we're finally starting to get less delays, but unfortunately delays still happen because development cycle. I'm fine with, like we say, I'm fine with delays. Make sure it's good. I'm hoping that, like you said, it's maybe it's just that final patch or something that polish off a few things. They knew they weren't going to be ready without crunching, and maybe that was the choice. It was, do we delay or do we crunch? Delay. That's easy choice. Easy choice. Speaking of really bad things, I'm going to bounce around a little bit. We had a Blizzard walkout was scheduled today.
Just throw the balls at the wall. Just go bounce.
Yeah, bouncing around a lot. But I thought that was a decent segue for really bad things that are immoral. Blizzard walkout for harassment lawsuit that's been going on. I was looking to see if there was any footage or anything, of it happening. But then I thought, well, a lot of the employees may not need to be in the office. They may still be working remotely. So the walk, it's not really a physical walkout, maybe a virtual walkout. People were encouraging everyone not to log into Blizzard games today in solidarity. I did I don't know if you saw, or I guess you saw because of the notes, but Blizzard saying that Blizzard basically supported the movement, supported the walkout, which I thought was that was a great thing to do, to say, hey, if you do, you can take PTO. It wasn't you're going to get PTO. It's like you can mark it for PTO if you want. We're not penalizing you for leaving. If you want to mark it out, whatever. I thought that was a good move on their part, and they said that. Pretty sure I'm getting this one EA mixed up in regards to the investigations going on, but either way, yeah, it's a big cluster. But either way, like seeing a company go, "Hey, we support what you're saying and we agree," I think is a big thing. Is a good thing.
Well, I mean, they have to after they made, because we didn't really cover this last week when it initially happened. But for the back end of this is that the state of California has sued Activision Blizzard after a 2-year investigation for a few different things. There's some sexual harassment stuff. There's some equal opportunity employment stuff. And then there's something else that I forget. There's actually a really good video on this. I've referenced this guy a couple times because he's a lawyer. He's a business lawyer, but he also plays video games, and so he likes to analyze lawsuits and things that happen around the video game industry. And that's Hoeg Law, Hoeg. He did a great breakdown if you're interested in the legal stuff. And when you listen to him, know that he's not there as like his opinion. He's really just breaking down what he thinks is kind of like provable, what evidence he thinks needs to happen for it to happen in a court of law. So sometimes people get upset with him because, you know, he's kind of breaking down certain things and offering kind of his like opinion as a legal figure versus a moral figure. Yep. And so know that if you listen to this, that and anything that he does around this kind of thing, most of the time he tries to leave his morals out of it and tries to go objectively based on like what the law says. So he did a great breakdown of it. I think it's going to be really interesting. The thing, though, is they made this really crap statement when the lawsuit initially came out about how, like, the state of California is out to get them, and, like, there's a reason that companies are leaving California. And so now they kind of have to double back and be like, yeah, okay, guys, like, no, you protest. That's fine. You know, it's cool. And, you know, after making that blunder of a PR move, and then now there was a letter today from, I believe, Ubisoft employees, because Ubisoft's been going through some mess, and their mess started last year, even again been going on for a while, but a lot of that stuff and their senior leadership has also not changed, just like Blizzard's senior leadership has not changed. And so do we finally see some shakes in the industry? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see it. It's also hard in those situations of at what level, at what, you know, what's the classic question, like what did they know, when did they know it, like, you know, that kind of. So from a leadership standpoint, like, either way, it should have been, you know, something handled and something stopped internally. And at the level of some of the things discussed, it's kind of hard to not put these leaders as, you know, complacent to that type of what's it called, the culture of their workplace. It's not something where it's like, wow, that was an isolated event, I didn't know about it because no one told me. This is a pattern. It's a big pattern through the industry, and it's no longer a boys' club. None of these things should have been excusable in any way, but it's no longer a boys' club where it's just a bunch of guys pranking each other and still being inappropriate. It's like now we have equality. It's not like the 50s. I'm just thinking of like Mad Men kind of like mentality.
I'm rewatching Mad Men right now, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I need to watch. I need to watch it. Yeah, I've
never seen it.
I've seen the first season or so, and it's really good. It's great. It's the great quality, but yeah, it just makes me think of that mentality when it comes to a workplace. And I've worked at places like that where HR knew and like repeatedly was told about it. I don't know, and I will say, you know what, I don't work there anymore, so I can say it. Like I was in one where HR was repeatedly involved, but the idea was, hey, guys, keep it down because we don't want HR involved. And then HR got involved, and they were saying, okay, guys, I don't want to talk to you about it again because then I have to tell more people about it. And then the second and third time it was, okay, I'm supposed to talk, I'm supposed to report this, but I'm not going to this time. It's just like, what are you even doing here? You're just coming in here to wag your finger. So if that's happening and they're isolating it, then of course these leaders and the CEOs and everything aren't really to blame. But I guarantee that they know. I guarantee that they know about this culture of harassment and
I mean, most of the time HR does know whenever something happens, but the equal pay thing is the tough one. That's always hard, because when people think about equal pay, and again, I'm speaking from just an analytical standpoint, so anybody that listens, I don't want them to get too mad at me. But a lot of times they can't prove it, because whenever they're trying to equate jobs, they're like, well, this job is not the same as that job. You literally have to look at a same position. And normally when you get into salaried stuff like that, there's books, every company's got these things that say this is what the pay is for that position, where you're located, et cetera, et cetera. There's normally some kind of justification reason. And so it's really hard a lot of times to prove, because especially some of these higher up positions, there's only one of you. And so how many things can you really say? Now there is one interesting one in there, and that's going to be what I want to hear more about as it gets dug into, was that there's one person who said, I think she was in marketing or something, and that she was pulling in more money for her marketing work and getting paid less than somebody who did it. So I want to see the breakdown of that. Did that guy have one fantastic year and get a raise one time, and that's what he was stuck on? Or was it really a thing? And again, don't shoot the guy. Say this isn't me saying that people aren't screwed. I'm married to a very smart and she probably should be more successful than she is woman who's had to fight for things, and she's gotten laid off probably when she shouldn't have, whenever she does extremely quality work and stuff, and had to start again with another company, and not necessarily start over, but she is still fighting for that recognition that she definitely deserves, and luckily it looks like she's on the path to finally starting to make progress on that. But it's still a thing from my standpoint. I'm not a very educated person. I'm not a person who is qualified for a lot of higher up positions, so I just get to watch her not get what she, in my opinion, deserves, whenever I know I'm exactly where I should be. And so I don't want anybody to think that I don't understand, but it's the proving it. It's always the proving it, what it says on paper. And I do want to note, if you guys are tuning into this later and you tried to watch us live, it looks like we got blocked for something. I'm going to guess it's the World of Warcraft video. I already just submitted a dispute, but
okay, good.
So we won't be able to get any more live viewers, unfortunately. So if you tried to tune in, we do appreciate you.
That's terrible. I block out the majority of the screen, and we still get blocked, as if I'm going to block out more, because apparently the algorithms are getting a little bit better when it comes to that. No, you're exactly right. And when it comes to the exact same job, that's the only way you can really dice it. Even then, they'll say, oh, well, this person's quality work versus that person's quality work. But if she in marketing was able to, say, pull, if she was consistently doing that,
right,
then that's 100%. Because you were saying, did he have a banner year and then got a promotion? But the inverse is still the same. Did she just have a really great year, or a great last 8 months or whatever, and usually he does better? So you have to weigh all those things in, and even a lot of jobs, like you said, they look at it and say, okay, it's this job at this level, where you're located. They usually have a salary range, and that range was where they could lowball someone, and it shouldn't happen, based on their quality. If they can bring in, if they do quality work and they're a value and an asset, then you pay them. You need to pay them, because otherwise they'll go find someplace else to work. But
Yeah, and it exists that way for what I do, because a lot of my people that I work with are at home, and so our stuff's like regional based because cost of living is different in different areas, and so they have to account for that. There's states that don't pay taxes. There's only 4 of them, but that gets taken into account. And so there could be a difference in pay for somebody like for people who are in the same exact position, but they have a book on it that says like, well, you're located in Texas, or you're located in Florida, or you're located in Montana. And then they also like, I probably shouldn't go too much further into it, but they have books on that dictate that kind of thing to make any justifications. If you were to go and say, well, it's like, well, sorry, you live in Wyoming and he lives in California, like we're equating it because it's way more expensive for that person to work in California than it is for you to live in Wyoming. Sorry.
100% quality, like 100% the cost of living, the cost of just getting, and by that I mean just living in general.
It's ridiculous.
It's insane in California. I've got coworkers in California, and it's like the cost of anything and everything is crazy expensive. And
I remember we stayed at an Airbnb in San Francisco, and just for fun, because we loved San Francisco, great atmosphere, just fun, good weather, and like we were like, all right, what's this place run that we're staying at? We're staying at an Airbnb, $3,000 a month for this like apartment that we were at, and we're like, that's more than I bring in a month. So. And
I'm guessing it wasn't that big of an apartment either. It was just little tiny tiny apartment that's just big enough. Yeah, it's crazy. That's why they need to get paid more in that state. So anyways, we could go on a giant tangent about that, but you should be paid. You should be paid not just what you're worth. You should be paid enough if you're doing a job to live. In general, I don't think anyone should be able to disagree with that.
I will say, believe women, though.
Oh yeah, of course. Now that
for the other parts of that lawsuit that we didn't really dig into,
believe women, listen, understand, don't immediately dismiss. I have had times where like just asking questions, I've had people be like, no, you don't believe her. I'm like, no, I just want to know more about what happened, like, because that's important. It's a part of the believing is like I want to hear what happened, because otherwise, anyways, we'll go on to something else, because we could talk about other things other than gaming, but I do want to talk about gaming a little bit today. Dead Space got announced. The Dead Space remake got announced in a hard pivot last week, right after we finished our show. I want to say it was Thursday. This one was rumored. We talked about it very briefly earlier this year. Out of all of the franchises to reboot, I think this, Mass Effect, and there's probably a couple more, but those are like the 2 that I'm like, we could reboot those. We could do a good job. Dead Space 3 and Mass Effect 3 just were letdowns, but Dead Space 1 and 2, Mass Effect 1 and 2, great. So what are your thoughts on the Dead Space remake?
I kind of, in one way, I'm really happy, because I'm like, I never finished it. It's available on Game Pass right now. I actually downloaded it before they announced it, so now I'm not going to play it. But I downloaded Dead Space because I was like, I'm going to see if I can go back and beat this game, and now I'm not going to. Now that I know that there's a superior version on the horizon. The one thing is like, I wonder what.
Yeah, I thought it was a reboot though. Is it not a reboot?
I feel like it's like a remake. Remake, reboot. Like, how much are they changing? Right?
It's remake, not remaster. Yeah. Sorry, that's what I was saying. It's not a remaster. I guarantee it's not going to be. That's. You're probably right when it comes to the story. The story of the first Dead Space is one of my favorite stories in gaming. When it comes to. I don't know, when it comes to like really feeling for a protagonist and one you didn't think you would empathize with. Yeah, I mean, I guess if it's a remake, I guess if they're keeping the same story, I get it. It's a great story though, like similar to like BioShock. Like the journey of BioShock is a great one. You played BioShock, right?
It's on the 12 for 12 list.
The first BioShock?
Yep.
Oh wow. Okay. Cool. Well, I'm glad.
I know the ending. I know the ending already.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's one of those. That's one of those that I didn't make the test of time. Like I managed to avoid Doki Doki Literature Club for years, but I did not
Yeah.
avoid Shall You Kind or Will You Kindly.
Yeah.
Did not miss that. And and what's funny is exactly what I'm saying, and it's not spoiling it.
Oh,
so.
I know. I'd say Dead Space, like, it's not, in my opinion.
So if there's a big space, if there's a big twist in Dead Space, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's as iconic, but it's definitely a turn that you don't. I didn't expect. It's not at that level. I'm trying to temper your expectations. It's like no, it's not earth shattering, but I really enjoyed it.
Let's see. We started with the original level design of the original Dead Space, but you can see some iterations were made that they definitely want to do. So it looks like they're going to be maybe changing some map, and then we want to be implementing some lore ideas from 2 and 3, not necessarily improving things, but kind of allowing them to maybe drop some Easter eggs.
Okay, good choice.
So it looks like they are remaking the game, but that they are keeping pretty much the heart intact. So one, I don't know if you've looked at Dead Space recently. It looks pretty good still to this day. So that just means it better look dope. But at the same time, I'm like, I would have probably just been fine with like a 4K 60. I don't know if you've looked at Dead Space recently. It looks pretty good still to this day.
Yep. Sorry. Now you should not be able to hear yourself.
That is correct. It looks pretty good. I would have just been okay with if they did some kind of like 4K 60 work on it, and then started working on either rebooting it or moving on to the next Dead Space. But then again, I haven't played anything other than part of 1, and so it is still going to be all new for me. Sorry, my wife just texted me, making plans for tomorrow because she gets to end the week off with me. I took this week off of work, and she was able to get Thursday and Friday off. So,
very cool.
I don't know. So I don't know. Are you happy with the remake, or did you want more? Have you played more than just 1?
I played 1, 2, and I played part of 3. I beat 1 and 2, and I guess I just saw the trailer. I didn't look as far into it. I'm not disappointed that it's going to stay true to that first Dead Space. I mean, now I'm feeling like if this is kind of going to be a definitive experience, that's going to be really cool for them to say, hey, this worked really well, let's make it better. Like Diablo 2. I cannot wait to play Diablo 2, the Diablo 2 Resurrected, because Diablo 2 is great. It didn't age well when it came to graphics. The gameplay was still pretty good, but
and a lot of clicking.
Yeah, a lot of clicking.
Hopefully there's some auto pickup going on.
I hope so. That's a good quality of life.
Like auto gold, for example.
Which is in Diablo 3 has an auto gold. I think there's probably a lot of quality of life. There are quality of life improvements. I don't know about gold yet because I haven't dug in that far into it. But getting a definitive experience where I can play it, still enjoy it, and I can reminisce enjoying a game that I absolutely love and not feel like the rose-colored glasses have just been removed. I'm hoping to get something like that when it comes to Knights of the Old Republic, because I love Knights of the Old Republic, but it has not aged well at all. Speaking of isometric games, though, I think I'm out on Tribes of Midgar for now. I put that in there because I just wanted to mention this is a good example of don't pre-order a game until unless you're completely 100% in it and you know what you're getting into. I didn't think about the roguelike elements of this game, and I haven't done a ton of research into it, but one of the reviewers that I was listening to was talking about it's great, but each session in the survival kind of mode, each session you start kind of from scratch, where you get some starter stuff. If you've been playing for a long time, you get more starter pack stuff than if you start out the first time. So roguelike survival, that was the part where I was like, I didn't put that together, that every single time I'm going to be starting from scratch, as opposed to starting from scratch and being able to build out for a while, I didn't think about that didn't quite click for me. So I don't know what all carries over, but I immediately thought, I don't think I'm going to have enough time to sink into it to really get the enjoyment out of it that I'd want. Unless it lets, and this is the part I need to do more research, unless it lets me on Switch hit that power button, go do something, hit the power button again, and can I go back to playing it as long as my Switch didn't die? Maybe I'll be in on that at that point, because my other consoles, I mean, I'm going to shut them off. It's going to suspend it. But if you're not carrying over that much per run, and if it disconnects me from whatever their server is and it stops me from playing, then that's going to be unfortunate. So I'll have to look and see how that is. It's only $20 though, so it's not like it's not like I'm paying $60 for the game, but I felt like
there is no offline mode. I don't know. I don't want to ruin that for you. I know that you said you're.
I heard there's no offline. So that's what I'm worried about. Is like if I hit the power button on Switch,
you can't. Yeah, you're gonna get disconnected because if you're playing, if you played Outriders, for example,
you
might have like a brief amount of time where like you'll still be in, but just the same thing with Outriders. Like you would try and sleep that game by just like doing it. You'll get logged out, you'll get disconnected, you'll have to reconnect every time. It's an always online game.
And if I'm reconnecting, am I able to reconnect to the same quote session?
That I don't know. Yeah.
That's where like I really need to know those details, because as we've talked about this a lot when it comes to Nintendo Switch, I mean I could play this on other consoles, but if I'm playing on my Switch and I need to pause to do something, or I usually just hit the power button, go do whatever it is that I'm doing, and I come back to my game. Dark Souls logs you out of the network. You have to log back in, but I'm back to where I was. So I didn't really lose. I didn't lose momentum. I didn't lose, my progression. I'm worried that hitting that power button on the Switch would do that. Disconnect, and then I can't connect back to that session, to that run, if you will. On a roguelike, every run starts from the beginning. So if I can hit the power button and it doesn't disconnect me, and there's some way that it keeps that, and I don't know exactly if it could do that, but the fact that it's not, there's no offline mode, means that this is one of those games that's made for, you got a dedicated couple hours of gaming and you're not going to do anything else. And if you can do that, great. I don't have that luxury all the time. A lot of times I'm going to play for a little bit and I may get interrupted. So I may be out on this depending on how that works on Switch, which is disappointing because I thought this game kind of looked cool. But yeah, I don't think I'm going to have the time to invest into it. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a feeling you're probably going to be out of it, unfortunately. Just based on my initial assessment of it, you're probably going to be in. That does suck. It from what I'm reading, it's fun if you have somebody to play co-op with.
Yeah.
And it's been out, I think, for a while on Steam and in pre-release. Now it's just that it's come everywhere. But from what I know, it's actually like a pretty fun game, but like it's one of those games that you definitely want to like play with other people, from what I can tell anyway. And so the biggest thing that sucks about that is just you got to be really careful about the games that you're pre-ordering. Like, we were talking about Kenna earlier. I pre-ordered it because it looks like a Zelda game, and I've been burned on that before. Or like I know a lot of people love this game, but I pre-ordered Spiritfarer and I did not like it. I totally misunderstood what that game was about and what the type of game that it was, and that you were like kind of city building along with your narrative, and I had zero desire to keep up with that. It's the same reason I don't like things like Stardew Valley, where it's like I don't want to manage a town while I'm doing that kind of thing. But I burned my own self by not putting in that research time before buying it. Sometimes that happens, though. Hey, at least I can be like, hey, developer, I gave you a little money. Even if I don't like your game, here's my money.
And that's where it's unfortunate, because I feel like I'd have a good time. That every reviewer that I listen to like 2.5 reviewers, because I barely listened to the third one. But they all said it was really enjoyable and it was fun. So this is now going on my list for Black Friday or whenever it goes on a deep discount where I feel like I can give them some money, but I'm not going to feel ripped off because of my play style, right? Because I do want to give them the money, but I don't want to give them the money and then not be able to enjoy it. Returnal is on that list. I want to play Returnal. I think I'm going to have a good time playing it, but I don't think I'm going to have enough time to invest and beat it. As opposed to like Elden Ring's coming out, I don't need to research anything about it. Even though I know I'm going to enjoy it. Where the others, it's just me. So I hope other people are really enjoying it because I liked the aspect of the survival aspect because I love playing Minecraft. I love like survival mode Minecraft where look at what I was able to do with starting out with nothing and then being able to do that in multiplayer with friends in a very Diablo Viking thing. I thought that'd be really cool. So it goes on the list of try it when it gets onto a discount or maybe there's a demo out that I haven't looked at. But speaking of things you want to try, have you been on Nintendo Online lately, like at all?
Like played a Nintendo Online game? No, but I can like every time that I see more games added to it, and I pay for it. I have a year or whatever. I pay for it every time because it's only $20 a year. So it's like I'll do it and forget about it, right? Every time I see games added to it, I'm just like, are they making these games up? Because like I was a pretty extensive Super Nintendo player.
Yeah. And
half this stuff I've literally never heard of. And the stuff that you're putting up here right on the screen, I know that people aren't watching live anymore. So we've had what were the names of these games?
I gotta look them up because I glanced at them. I should have written them down because I glanced at them and I was like, what?
Jelly Boy, Claymates, and what is it, Bamboozle? Which makes me think of a great Friends episode, by the way, the Bamboozled episode where Joey's going to be the host of the game show.
Yes. Yeah.
And they're doing like what is it, Phoebe's wedding shower, I think, at the same time or something like that. I can't remember what the girls are doing in that episode, but the Bamboozled episode is so good. Joey, I'm a third world headhunter. or I'm a headhunter. I hook up with rogue third world nations. Hey, Rasputin.
The rules on that and like Joey like finally like I think my favorite part of it though is the excitement because Ross like absolutely loves that kind of excitement that he has and like in playing the game and God, that's a good bit.
What is it? The capital of whatever is Bogota. And he's like, it's Bogota, but whatever.
Is that Colombia? I'm gonna get that wrong.
I just bamboozled shit. Sorry, you guys. I can go on Friends, just in case anybody watches the video and sees my Friends Central Perk Lego set there in the background.
That's a cool one.
So what are these games like? I shouldn't complain. I've looked it up. There's like 100 games on Switch Online. It's not like they don't have a good offering. It's just every time they put up this crap, I'm like, what is stopping you from doing a virtual console?
Yeah, kablooey. Look at this. Okay, so one, I didn't own a Super Nintendo, so it's hard for me to judge when it came to the games. But I did and still do watch a lot of like retro like game review stuff. I had never heard of these games. In all of the reviews that I've watched of people playing like bad Super Nintendo games or bad Nintendo games, bad Genesis games. So are these just mediocre? Are they so like lukewarm that they didn't even show up on like worst lists? They're definitely not on best lists, but I haven't seen these on anyone's like Angry Video Game Nerd and those kind of like all of those kind of reviewers. I've never seen them like played in these games. I guess they're that mediocre. I don't know. No offense to anyone who's watching this who worked on any of these games. I'm just saying, really? Like you're paying per month to play this?
On the flip side of the Switch Online service, have you downloaded Pokemon Unite yet?
I have not.
I haven't downloaded either because I've been knee deep in. I was gonna say other things deep, but this is a clean and family show that we do on here. By the way, tell your friends about that. If I know that some people have that objection with podcasts, a lot of people do language and stuff, which Patrick can tell you off stream I am not opposed to, but we specifically run a clean podcast here. So knee deep in Skyward Sword, I'm hearing awesome things about Pokemon Unite. Some trusted people that I follow on Twitter, one even said it's in their GOTY lists right now.
Wow.
For a free-to-play Pokemon MOBA, which I said when they announced this game, that if there was something that was going to get me into a MOBA, it would be Pokemon, right? So that may be my August thing to do other than my 12 for 12 is try out some Pokemon Unite. But I thought I would let you know that I'm hearing good things.
I've never gotten into MOBAs either. I tried 1, 2, but yeah, it just wasn't my thing. I'm not big on competitive multiplayer. It's just me. I did play some Battlefront 2 this past weekend, by the way, because I was trying out some games in 120 frames because it's supposed to be 120. And I talked about this. I talked to you about it on Apollo, but a quick aside: playing 4K 120 on the new TV. And I know I sent you Apollo about this. There are times where like I've hit the display button so it'll like show you like the stats of like what you're playing, and it's like 4K 120. I had to check because I feel like it's a really subtle difference between 60 and 120. 30 and 60, it's very apparent. 60 and 120, not quite as apparent. Maybe my eyes are getting more used to 60 versus 60 and 120. It's like, oh, that's fine. It's good or better. Maybe my eyes are just viewing it that way. But I hit the button on the remote because I was like, am I really playing 120? And it's good, but don't feel like people listening to the show who are like, oh, I can't believe these people playing at 4K 120. It's a luxury. Like seriously, it's not the same leap in my opinion. It's great, don't get me wrong, but it's not. I'd say it's like VHS going from VHS to DVD. Well, VHS to DVD, what do you think? Was pretty subtle. DVD to Blu-ray was a pretty good jump. But Blu-ray to 4K,
I think the biggest jump that happened was when you started seeing widescreen DVDs.
Yeah.
Like when we went from 4:3 to 16:9, that was like jarring. You're like, holy crap! They cut off so much of this that I think, and that happened in the middle of DVDs. Like there was some widescreen VHS out there. It's not, but they were rare. I think there was a Star Wars widescreen release.
One,
it was a box set that I remember very vividly. I want to say it was gold.
There's a gold and there's a silver.
And there's a silver.
And the silver, the gold, I believe, is full screen. The silver is widescreen. I may be wrong.
You might be right about that.
Yeah. But there's a silver and there's a gold. And my dad and I, so my dad's an AV junkie. That's where I get it. And we I was in middle school when having those VHS tapes. And I think the DVDs came out. I remember having an argument with a kid.
Silver was widescreen.
Cool. So I remember having an argument with someone about the widescreen, and just imagine Patrick in like 7th or 8th grade having an argument with another kid who has, of course, we're kids, so we don't know what we're talking about. But I did, and I was like, no, widescreen is the entire thing, 16:9. Full screen is pan and scan. They zoomed in and they cut out something, and he was like, no, they just zoom in and stretch it. Like, no,
it was a really hard thing for people to wrap their mind around because of those black bars.
Yep.
Because you're like, how could I possibly be seeing everything whenever it's not taking up my whole TV, right? And now, like, it's just one of those things where like you notice whenever something was formatted, maybe after the fact, whenever you have that black bar versus where it's taking up my full, beautiful 55-inch TV. you can just see where there's like something that they didn't edit, or I don't know how all that works in terms of post-production, but whenever they didn't put the widescreen in there, they just kind of pasted the widescreen in there, you know what I'm saying? Where there's that black bar still.
And then the other aspect of it, which a lot of people don't realize this as well. I could go on and on about like AV stuff and like cinematics, but so the new TV, swear these are really cool things you'd appreciate. The new TV has a thing where it's like an IMAX like streaming thing through Bravia. It's Bravia Core, but some of them are IMAX enhanced. And I was like, well, what is that? Like, oh, well, we take the IMAX version of the movie that you could see in the IMAX theater, and we let you see the entire screen of those sections. And immediately, I'm only thinking of one movie that I could think of when I heard about it. I could only think of one movie where it was an aspect ratio change like that, because IMAX is taller, right? Versus the letterboxed. Even on our 16:9, it's letterboxed slightly. Dude, Spider-Man: Far From Home has IMAX footage, and the Blu-ray of it, they chopped off the top and bottom. The Blu-ray chopped off the top and bottom, or they zoomed in like on the top or bottom to try to get the best shot. So there's quite a few movies that like have this extra little bit. I'm like, I can't believe I missed that. I didn't see Spider-Man: Far From Home in IMAX. I missed some pretty things here and there when they were in Italy. So yeah, and also my TV from the factory, the aspect ratio was off, and it was cutting off like 5% of the bottom of the screen and 2% of the side.
Yeah, there's something weird going on with this. So there's a TV right here that, and by going on, it's now almost, I want to say it's like a 15-year-old flat screen television. Okay. And so it's not like it was good to begin with, but like when you're watching my PlayStation on it, it cuts off parts of the game screen for some reason. Like no matter what I do, I've unzoomed it, I've used every mode on there, and no matter what, it just cuts it off. I even went into the PlayStation settings and like lowered the square, but every time you start a game, the game ignores the PlayStation home screen settings and just goes up. This was like literally an aspect ratio in the expert settings that I had to click on, and I only knew it because I'm a geek like this. I went through all these different test patterns to like to get my TV looking really good. And the one that I usually don't look at that often is the aspect ratio. And thank you Xbox, and the calibrate your TV thing on your Xbox, you click the button and it has a little green line. You should have a green line all the way on the border of every single thing. And it was like green line, nothing. Like, wait, what is happening? And as soon as I fixed it, I was like, okay, this is cool. Like I wasn't missing a ton. But I want that 5%. I want the little 5% right here. I want it all.
Yeah, come on. I paid for that.
I paid for that 5%, baby.
Yeah. So it's nice. It's nice. But yeah, that was interesting. But also interesting, Steam Deck getting even better information, reviews, whatever you want to call it, on this. You've still got yours pre-ordered. I'm like this close.
Q1 2022.
I'm this close to like not going with the scalper, but like it being on my list of like, yes, I think I could do this. It just looks better and better. So the RAM on this thing originally was essentially, I'm not an expert in hardware, so I'm not going to pretend to explain it, but the initial specs essentially said it was 16 gigs of LPDDR5 at 5.5 gigabits per second, or gigabytes, sorry, but apparently the specs are actually, it's quad 32-bit channels, so essentially having more 120 bits of memory essentially, and that memory is having to handle video and RAM. Sorry, VRAM versus RAM, like on your PC. It has to handle both, like a console, and being able to have that extra breadth on that is really cool. Kind of like cores on a CPU, right? So,
yeah, the reason why it's important from what I was reading was basically because most of the time whenever you have a gaming PC, and the reason why people buy a gaming PC for lots of different reasons, but is there's the dedicated GPU and then there's your CPU. And the way that the Steam Deck works is it's kind of all together on board.
Yep.
So having more basically there's more RAM to kind of give the GPU slash CPU a little bit more room to roam.
Yeah.
And basically, because if you've ever tried to play a game on, say, a business laptop, for example, business laptops, graphics cards suck, and they're using basically the onboard graphics thing to do anything, and that's why everything looks like nothing. That's why that they're affordable and why they do what they do very well. But you can't do things like watch stuff or play things on them. So they are doing this to kind of make up for that. Everything I'll tell you, like in terms of what has now solidified me from not canceling, is Skyward Sword. I posted about it on my own Facebook today, but like sitting in bed on my couch in my office chair during lunch, there's just been moments where I'm sitting here playing this game at 60 FPS, which is important. This is why I wish there was a Switch Pro, but 60 FPS Zelda, I don't care that it's at 720 because it still looks great in my little handheld. I do kind of hope that maybe down the line there's an OLED screen because that would make it that much better, but it's going to be LCD, which is what the Switch that I have is. But that has been so much fun. Having smooth gameplay, having AAA quality gameplay in your hand is so nice. And I know you're not going to be able to do that with every single AAA game on the Steam Deck, but I'm looking forward to having more consistent, solid gaming experiences on a handheld, and that's why I'm closer and closer to like not canceling it. Right? Yeah. It's not a it's a thing that I got it because I wanted to get in. It looked intriguing, and like you said, everything that I'm reading about it more and more says get this thing. Like
it's quality.
It's a little pricey, but it looks dope.
But it seems like quality, and I've been playing more handheld recently than before. A couple years ago, I wouldn't have really cared that much about handhelds. Actually, the Razer Kishi is what changed it. I mean, I was playing my Nintendo Switch, and that was like, okay, this is fine. But using the Razer Kishi along with my phone, so that's the thing that we talk about. Owen has a backbone. I have a Razer Kishi. Goes on your phone, allows you to play not only mobile games, but I can stream off my PS5. I can stream off my Xbox. Being able to do that, I've been playing a lot of handheld because of that ease. I can literally boot up my PS5 while I'm sitting right here. I've done that, and the wife was like, "What's happening?" Because she didn't realize it was me.
No, my wife's coming to the office before. It's like, "Did you know your PlayStation just beeped?"
Yep, because it beeps and you hear the fan kick in. It's like spinning. We both have the disc version, so it's.
I tried to convince her it was a ghost.
I didn't do that. No. And then she comes in and she sees me. Like, I can boot it up from here. I can play it. I have not tried it remotely. I tried the Xbox. I didn't try the PlayStation. But on your LAN, it's great. Am I going to take if I got a Steam Deck, would I take it on the go with me? I probably would, but I can also do this. That being said, I would be streaming whatever I'm playing. So I'd be dependent on, say, the house, the Airbnb or wherever we're staying, or hotel Wi-Fi. Trying to stream graphics to this probably wouldn't be that great. So that does give obviously the win to the Steam Deck. I still haven't pulled the trigger. I still haven't. Obviously, I can't pre-order it, but it's. I'm almost convinced that it should be in my life. I'm almost convinced of that.
Yeah, and that's one reason I kind of like that mine right now is slated for Q1, because that way, hopefully the first line of people that got in at the beginning are able to play it. And as long as I don't know when mine gets locked in, I'll probably need to pay attention to that closer to December before I shell out $500. But I'm hoping that they don't charge my credit card until it's being sent, and that way we can get some of those initial thoughts, reviews, and stuff in December to really confirm that it's as good as it's looking on paper. Because right now on paper, I like pretty much everything about it. I've come around on like the Game Gear look. I I think it's probably a little chunky. It's definitely a big boy, and so it's probably one of those things where I don't, that's one thing to account for is definitely weight. But if people say it's comfortable and everything and ease of use, like I'm not going to be, I know some people will be doing all kinds of mods for and everything. As we've said many times on this show, I want the most straightforward experience ever. I just want to go into Steam, hopefully maybe be able to go into like the Epic Game Store and get those free games, which I started logging back in this week and clicking the free games again because I always forget. Hopefully I can do those 2 game stores, maybe a Game Pass easily, but if those aren't easy, then I'm just going to be using Steam because I don't want to work for it. I want the console experience of PC gaming. That's what I want.
And that's exactly what I wanted. So the blend, and that's what the Steam OS and everything, that's what that was, the Steam box and all of that was supposed to be the benefits of console gaming, the ease of console gaming with the power of PCs. It just looks better and better. And I know if I get it, I'm going to have to get like a case for it and stuff. Because if I get it, I gotta, I'm going to bring it with me. The Switch, goes in my backpack when I travel. This may end up going in the backpack instead if I end up getting one. So we'll see if I do end up getting one. Also, now I'm like actually curious, like, are there any games on mobile that I actually would like that are not made to make me log in and do like microtransaction stuff? Like, I'm actually curious now. Like, now that I have my Kishi, like maybe there's something out there for me. So let me know in the comments.
They exist.
Yeah, what's that?
They exist. I mean, you're not an Apple user, so Apple Arcade completely removes all microtransaction because it's a monthly service for $5 a month. But so that kind of thing exists, but there's probably some games that are on iOS, like on Apple Arcade, that also exist on Android that can probably point you towards. But don't forget, they're also starting to put more old like PC and like you can play Knights of the Old Republic on mobile. And one of them has controller support and one of them doesn't. So you need to be sure which one does or doesn't. The Final Fantasy games are on mobile. Chrono Trigger is on mobile.
Oh, that's right, because the Final Fantasy's on there now, but it's not the pixel perfect ones, the pixel remasters that we're doing.
The pixel remasters are coming.
That's what got me thinking about it, because I was thinking,
but I refused on that. Put it on console, you cowards. I'm not doing none of this. Like the only thing that might is that I might buy Final Fantasy VI for Steam Deck. Like that's the only thing that might happen. I don't know any of the other ones that I really want to play. We can go into 12 for 12 if you want. I don't know, man. I don't know about the turn-based anymore.
This is going to be a brief 12 for 12 because these are both games.
I've been playing too much Zelda.
Yeah, you've been playing a lot of Zelda. These are both games that are in they're different franchises, but they're in our favorite franchises, but they're a game that we didn't play that much of or we didn't like when it first came out. So there's a commonality in both of ours. So you played some Final Fantasy IX, and
I did. And so I do want to speak to some quality of life stuff because I was playing the PS4 version. Gotta shout it out. Those are the things that can make these games definitely more accessible. 7, 8, and 9 all have they're all slightly different, but 9 has, I think, the most because there's 2 different levels of quality of life on them. There's one where you can go into your game menu and you can turn on like a debug mode. That disables your trophies though, and you can't turn them off once you turn them on. And it's things like unlimited gold or something like that, among a couple other things. Then there's the ones that don't disable trophies, like you have like all your hits do 9,999 damage, and that's from the very beginning of the game, and 3x speed, so you run. You can run the whole game. The only problem is you have to sometimes disable it during cutscenes because it also goes through your cutscenes at 3x speed.
Because that's what I want to play the game for. Like I want to experience the story. I want to do this for 8 as well. But I don't zip through my cutscene though. Like I this is my reward for playing.
It literally just turns on a fast forward mode on the game, and it pushes everything, including you running around. But also, there's a lot of cutscenes, especially at the beginning. It's very cutscene heavy. Shout out to those. If I do go back, I did start a save. I'm at the very beginning. I played maybe 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It's just Final Fantasy VII Remake, Final Fantasy 15, Final Fantasy 14. I'm just not a big turn-based guy anymore. It's got to be very specific. I'll still play some tactical RPGs. Like I played Fire Emblem Three Houses in 2019. Loved it. It was one of my favorite games of the year. But that party mode where it's just you along that line, your enemies are there. Is antiquated the word that I want? It's old, man. Final Fantasy VII Remake is too good, and it's hard to go back after you've played combat that is that you're in it. You're moving around, you're making sure you're dodging, you're also lining up these cool like menu-based attacks, which still keeps that homage to the original. And as much as I want to give 9 another shot, and I'm going to leave it installed, it's going to be one of those things that there's going to be a rainy day where it's like, all right, let's jump in. Let's turn on all the cheats that, we don't care about. Let's just try and get through the story. I'll probably look up a guide as well just to kind of experience it. But it's one of those things I feel bad. I haven't beaten a single one of my 12 for 12 games, but at least I can say I'm trying them.
Well, I beat my first 12 for 12 game.
There you go.
Because I played a couple hours in every one of them. I played some I am going to go back and beat. But I played Resident Evil 3, and this is the Resident Evil 3 Nemesis
original.
No, this is the remake.
The new one.
Yeah, it's the new one.
Okay.
Not remaster, full on remake with some changes in there. So when this game came out, I played the heck out of 2, and when this game came out, similar to Final Fantasy VIII, I booted up the game, I played it, and 8 I was turned off more than this. Like I think I got like halfway through Resident Evil 3 back in the day. It wasn't bad, but I hated Nemesis just showing up and wrecking everything, which I know is the point of the game. Yeah, I know it's the point of the game, and
he's like way faster than Mr. X, isn't he?
He is faster. He's faster, and he's less. Well, if you've never played the game, he's less predictable. Where Mr. X may just show up, and Mr. X is, by the way, in way more of 2 than he was, and the remake of 2 than he was the original 2. But yeah, he's faster. He's in a lot more of the game because it's kind of what the game is known for. But the unpredictability of Nemesis in comparison to Mr. X, I felt like I could evade, and Nemesis, it's like, you have to evade him, but you also have to fight him multiple times, as opposed to just knowing, I don't have to fight him. Also, I was a kid when I played Resident Evil 3, so you got to factor that in. Where like Majora's Mask. I was a kid when that came out. What was I? High school? When did Ocarina come out? 2000?
1990. Let's see if I can guess this. 1999 or 2000?
I think it was 1999 or 2000. Okay, so I was a sophomore in high school.
It's gonna bother me.
Yeah, I was a sophomore in high school, so I wasn't mature.
What? 1998.
98. Really?
I literally. What was 99? It was Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy 9 was 99.
Was it?
7 was 97.
I thought. Okay, yeah. So I didn't
realize it was that late, and that's Japan release too.
Okay, so I was middle school when Majora's Mask came out, and similarly, pet peeve, whatever you're going to call it, like the ticking clock just gave me way too much anxiety. Nemesis gave me way too much anxiety back in the day. So playing this game, playing the remake, I loved it, by the way. I really loved it, but I had to keep that in mind, like when it came to Nemesis, I don't mind getting surprised. You're supposed to be scared, but jump scares just to scare you, like that's a cheap scare. Nemesis can get a little cheap when it comes to some of the surprises, but I had to like reassure myself, like, you don't have to fight him. You just run. If you die, it's okay. Like, I had to like talk myself down when it came to my anxiety on that. It wasn't as bad as when I was a kid, obviously, but same thing with Mr. X. Like, it's frustrating because you can't kill him. You can't kill him until it's the time that you're supposed to be able to kill him. I really liked it though. It was short-ish. I want to say I beat it in 12 hours, 13 hours. But I think I beat 9 in, was not 9, 8. I think I beat 8 in about 13, 14 hours. So, yeah, I mean...
I think that was what I heard. The initial complaint is that this one... And it was like one of those things where people are like, well, maybe it's just not as long as 2. But the fact that they said that 3, like the remake of 3, was over way faster, it felt like, than the remake of 2.
Yeah.
And maybe it didn't have as much replayability as the remake of 2 either.
I don't think it did. So also 2 has a lot of replayability when it comes to, you play Claire's story, you play Leon's story, and then you play the B versions of each of their stories. So you not only have, if you beat the game as Claire, you can play the game as Leon. It's a completely different experience. You're in the same place, but where you find things is different. Like, your story is different because you're playing the other half of the story, because they're separated for a long time. And then the B stories in that is you play the B story as if like, say, Claire was on Leon's path or Leon was on Claire's path. So there's a lot of replayability when it comes to 2. That's why it's kind of hard to compare the 2. I liked it though. I felt like I did get a I think it was because I got like the digital deluxe or something. Like, it gave me extra whatevers, and what it ended up being is like, you have really good weapons like from the beginning. So I had much less of a survival horror in this than I did with some other games. Maybe that was one of the reasons why, like, I didn't feel like it was as difficult, but I enjoyed it, I'll say that. But, if you don't have a lot of time to replay the game and you want to play the story, I'm not saying pay to win, but those little things where they're like, hey, you get a kind of a boost at the beginning of equipment. If you're willing to pay $5 for that, I'm not going to knock it if it saves you a couple hours.
It's only $5.
It was like $5, yeah.
It's not terrible. So is this like a DLC? Is it like a DLC pack that includes like guns and stuff?
Yeah, and it gave
Does it give you anything other than upgrades?
No, it's just upgrades. It didn't like give you any additional story or anything like that. But for $5, I was like, why not? I
get, is that the new modern day cheat code? It's like $5 is your cheat code.
I think it is. There's one on.
That'll be about $3.50.
Yeah, $5, and you get like this this automatic weapon or whatever it was. You get it early. I didn't like have an ammo shortage very often, like at all, that I could remember. Similarly, Resident Evil 8 had that, and it also had like things you could add to a weapon that would give it a modifier, which is part of Resident Evil 8 anyways, is like modifying your weapons, but you could like add something that would give your handgun extra damage. And that they charge like $5 for or whatever online. So I guess that's a modern day cheat code, but it didn't like win the game. It was still a challenge, but it was easier, and it definitely saved me from some deaths. So don't feel bad if you do that to save some time. If it's a game you want to play and you're going to be frustrated, it gives you a little leg up, but you still get a challenge.
If I ever design a game, I'm making like a turbocharged mode that it costs $3.50. Any game I ever participate in will be $3.50 for more power. So what's up for the great month of August? Normally a dead month, but there's actually a lot of stuff coming out. I'm looking forward to 12 Minutes. I was looking forward to Kenna, which is now September, but maybe this means I'll have some time, even though if I go on my current streak of not beating any of my 12 for 12 games, Guacamelee will suffer, but I will be diving into some Guacamelee here after I beat Skyward Sword.
That's a fun game. So I'm excited for you playing that one because it's fun. I wouldn't say it's just amazing, but I had a blast with that one. I'm excited about 12 Minutes. The wife's excited about it too. Great cast, and I feel like it's been in development forever. But my August game is I'm finally going to play the Dark Pictures Man of Medan, whatever.
It's the first one, right?
I'm pretty sure it's the first one. If it's not, I may substitute. I'll have to double check and make sure because I'm pretty sure it's the first one. If it's not the first one, I may substitute it in a cheat code.
Pictures Anthology.
Pretty sure that's the first one. I think I have two of them. So if it's not this one, technically it would end up on my backlog. If it's
House of Ashes comes out October.
Yep.
Which one's first, Little Hope or Man of Medan?
So I have both of them, so I can substitute.
And you haven't played either of them.
I have not played either one of them, so I can.
Man of Medan 2019, Little Hope 2020. So
cool.
Man of
Okay.
Medan's first.
So Man of Medan's first. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna play that one first. I'm excited.
Supermassive and Bandai Namco, man. Bandai Namco they just publish in everything.
Yeah, and this is a for the people who like it, and this crowd, like the horror crowd on PC, is way bigger than it is on console. There's so many like horror PC games. This is it's a smaller studio, but I'm excited to play it.
You know what? I'm gonna make a switch then because you're playing a Supermassive game. On my list of alternates was Until Dawn, which was also made by Supermassive. I'm gonna switch out Guacamelee for Until Dawn.
I am very excited because I didn't realize Until Dawn was on your list at all.
It was going to roll into 2022. I've already got my 2022 list started.
Okay.
For just some extra games like Last Guardian's going to be next year. So
it's a good one.
Until Dawn was an alternate. Since you're playing a Supermassive game, I will be editing that in.
Obviously I love the genre, but the way what they did with that game, I loved it. I need to go back and play that game again. I've not played Rush of Blood, which I do have for PlayStation VR. But not giving away anything away when it comes to Until Dawn. Decisions that you make obviously matter when it comes to like the ending, when it comes to different aspects of the game. But
how horror are we talking? Are we talking jump scares? Are we talking thriller?
I mean, it's not too big on jump scares. There's a little bit of gore.
Is it more like you'll find people dead?
I say a little bit. Like there's some stuff that's kind of graphic. It's not as graphic as like watching Saw.
I just don't really feel like jumping out.
Yeah, I think there may be like a couple jump scares, but it's not like a cheap jump scare. It's not as graphic as Saw.
I just heard it was so good that I bought it
a
long time ago.
Dude, the performances of the actors.
Because is it Hayden Panettiere's in it?
Yeah, she's in it, and I forgot the guy's name. Is Rami Malek, I think? I'm going to double check because I'm getting it wrong. Yeah, Rami Malek is in it, and Rami is great.
Oh wow!
It's got a good cast. Their performances, yes.
Brett Dalton's in it.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. There's
that's Agents of Shield.
Yeah, I recognize the name. But,
that is a good cast. Dang.
Yeah, it's a good like. And I will say that, it came out, it was 2015. Okay. Not that long ago. There are some times that, like what is it called? Like, it's not quite Uncanny Valley, but like, it's not perfect when it comes to like the sync of like, the faces. It looks just a little odd. But I think it's great. And what they did, the story, and kind of the mystery involved, I thought was really cool. The mystery involved in it is what kept me going. And I don't know how long you'll play it. I don't know if well, your wife would probably may enjoy watching it. No, I thought she did. She likes scary. No, she doesn't.
Murder stuff? No.
No. Huh.
No.
Yeah.
She likes drama type things, but she's not a big murder.
I know she wasn't like a horror, like a huge horror fan, but I thought she'd appreciate it.
How long to beat?
Yeah.
Average
I'm gonna guess
play
10.
8 hours.
Okay.
So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
If it hooks me, then I'm waiting for one of these 12 for 12. Trails of Cold Steel. I did get like a solid over 10 hours. I think that's my longest 12 for 12 game. But August will be super massive month.
That's awesome. I'm looking forward.
We're gonna have to work on that for next year. We'll try and line them up more.
Sure. Yeah.
I like I said, I've already started adding some alternates, and it's just so I can build my 2022 list, but we can kind of work it out through the GG app, which I do support financially, but I share my list every so often. If you gamers out there are looking to keep track just of that, you can keep track of the things you play, you could keep track of your collection, you could use it however you want. I personally just track the games that I play, and then there's my favorite games of all time list, and I after I beat Skyward Sword, I'm planning on doing a favorite Zelda list as well. I want to beat Skyward Sword, which, by the way, it's working its way. It's up there. There's some. I want to talk more about my qualms with Skyward Sword, but it'd probably have to be kind of a spoiler episode type thing. But you have to get more into it.
I need to get more into it. I'm going to get more into it, and we'll do one of those later this year. I'm also going to add a couple other things that I'd like to do as little segments. We talked about our favorite Zelda, our favorite iteration of Zelda. I'd like to do one of those every now and then, a little fun thing like that. Let's wait till later this year to do the one for Skyward Sword, and we may sprinkle in some other fun stuff here and there. So stay tuned to this channel if you were actually tuning into channels. Stay tuned here, subscribe. You know what I mean. In the modern day, subscribe, favorite, share with your friends. Like you said, we try to keep it as clean as possible on the show, so anyone can enjoy it. We're not just going to scream at the screen, and you're actually going to. Well, I don't know if you've learned something. Hopefully, you will enjoy yourself and be
hopefully
part of the
conversation.
Fun. Yeah, you'll have fun. Be part of the conversation with us. Comment. Watch us live on Wednesday. You can be part of the conversation, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.